Welcome to another episode of Crypto Posse. And thanks for tuning in. I got to say, today's episode, we're going to deal with security issues. It's going to be all about security today, ladies and gentlemen. So grab your wallet, grab your crotch, and hold on. Let's just touch on security to the point of like thinking if you're someone that's really trying to get some nuts and bolts how to, save your ass. Will, what do you got for me?
I love that we're touching on this. We've been laying a foundation, right? We've been step-by-step process of what to do and how to get to what we're going to bring up today. So we've already covered, the emails, the password, next really, and we've done the phishing scams, but it's the exchange, right? There's so many different exchanges out there. We did touch on bookmarking certain specific websites too, right? So then you're not going to get scammed and you're not having to constantly use your search engine to search for something you're going to be using often. The segue to what we've been building is what exchanges do we use? Which ones are safe? Well, you could use certain websites like CoinGecko or CoinMarketCap, which is an accumulation of data for the whole crypto sphere, the whole space. So when you go to the site, you click on exchanges, and it's going to give you the top 10 exchanges by volume because that's where you want to trade. And this is a question I ask. Do you want to trade on an exchange that has large amounts of volume? Or do you want to take a risk or a chance on a smaller exchange that doesn't have the same liquidity? And if you keep your money on these exchanges, and let's just say the small guy ends up folding or something happens to that cryptocurrency exchange and you keep your money on that exchange, what do you think is going to happen with your money? And that's why we're touching on it today.
Yeah, I think that's great because, I'm pretty sure what you're saying is that your money may evaporate.
But now that we've gotten to this point of exchanges, right? One of the easiest ones or more well talked about exchanges is Coinbase. It's a safer, bigger exchange. They've been around for a really long time. You do your research and you find that they're connected to big, huge companies or funds like BlackRock. I'm going to put my money into those where the smart money's putting their money. I'm just going to follow what they're doing.
Okay. So that sounds like using the big dogs as a template for what we might do if we're smaller, medium investors, kind of just really being smart, not looking at the obscure ones, just really looking at something that's solid, right? I mean, even if it's a bank, what if it's a bank and it's like Chase or Bank of America or Wells Fargo, and then you see driving down the street and you're seeing this little bank, Bank of Escalona Street. You're like, I don't know. How good's their security? How easy could it get robbed? Do they even have any backing? I mean, I don't know.
And I think Coinbase is going to get bigger. It's going to have to get better. It is the biggest in the US. It's the easiest to use. I think it's a good starting point too for people when they want to put their money into crypto first, because, you could use your bank. It's pretty easy to link, if you want to do a wire transfer, an ACH. I mean, now there's credit card. You could also have a friend send it to you quite easily from another wallet into Coinbase. And it's a good starting point because I typically put my money in through my banking through Coinbase, trade on Coinbase, but then it's pretty easy to send it to, I think a better security for a wallet would be MetaMask. But MetaMask to me trades a little quirky too, and it's just expensive. So, but I think MetaMask is a great, safe holding spot for your money.
And so when you say expensive, give me an idea what you mean by that as compared to something that isn't expensive.
The fees and the slippage, to me, I notice have just not gotten any better. They're just expensive. So if you're going to trade, let's say $1,000 into Ethereum, it's expensive. It's maybe $20, $30, where even Coinbase is cheaper. Um, might cost me $5 or $6 on advanced trading on Coinbase, or other Blowfin, Bybit, even cheaper. Some are even free. trading.
So while one might be $20 or $30, another one might be $5 or $6.
Right.
Another one might be almost free. But would there be a difference with those fees in terms of safety, security, feasible, easy? Why would someone want to pay more money and do the same thing?
Well, Coinbase used to be more expensive. It's gotten a little better, but Coinbase is the easiest for the beginning trader.
Okay. So for the startup people, that's where they go. It's just, or, that's where the numbers come through that pipeline just because that's, like you said, it's easy and it's, user friendly. As you evolve as an investor, then you start finding out about different platforms for different reasons, right? There isn't a universal one, from everyone I've talked to, they're involved in a lot of different ways they move their money.
There's a lot, and Coinbase has a Coinbase wallet, which is not like keeping it on Coinbase, which is an exchange, and they use 2FA security, which is a step better. So, personally, me trading on Coinbase wallet, it's quirky to me. There's you just buy whatever coin that it is you want to buy. There's no stop loss. There's no limit orders. It's you just buy it and kind of see what you get. But I think the ease of going to Coinbase at the end of the day, you could send your money to Coinbase wallet, leave it there, and then bring it back to Coinbase quite easy.
It's a really safe way to transact. And the reason why I feel like we're talking about Coinbase, it's a publicly traded company, right? That gives me a lot of confidence to want to put my hard-earned dollars into an exchange to further grow my money, to get my money to work for me. It's not about how much money you make, it's how much money you keep. And when you have this strategy and you use a publicly traded company like Coinbase, and then listening to what Jeff's talking about, so you've got this exchange and you start out with the money in your bank, you transfer it to the exchange after doing your research. Now that we've got all these different base layers of security on things on what not to do, now that you've got your money on the exchange and you're buying this asset, let's just go with the biggest one out there, Bitcoin. Again, this isn't financial advice, but as an example, now you're putting your, say, $500. That's what you can afford. You're going to send that over to the exchange, Coinbase. You're going to purchase the asset, Bitcoin. To what Jeff is bringing up, you're going to pay fees. By using this platform, it gives you different options to buy into the market. You've got different options like limit order, which is me saying, "Hey, I want to buy it at a certain price, whether it's tomorrow or some days in the future." But that order is on the book. So if Bitcoin's trading at 84,283 as we're filming. If I want to buy, let's say Bitcoin at 80,000, I can use this limit order, put it on the books, and then when that price strikes, I could buy in. What Jeff is talking about is not leaving your money on the exchange. The beautiful part about Coinbase is they have a separate Coinbase wallet where you could transfer money back and forth for free, no fees, but you're also keeping your money in a wallet and not on the exchange. Because if something happens to that exchange, again, it opens up this door that your money can go with whatever's happening with that exchange. Or you could, and this is where the security comes into, you could do your research and go find one of two, right? You either have a cold storage wallet, which is storing your money completely offline, off computer. We've touched on it before. You could travel to another country with your USB stick with however many dollars you have on that, no questions asked. The second is a hot wallet. A hot wallet is something that you keep on your computer, but it's offline. So it's not connected to the exchange. It's not connected to the internet being on or off. And it gives me that more of a sense of peace that I could, and this is what you should be doing. purchasing your Bitcoin and then immediately transferring that to the best option is your cold storage. And again, a cold storage is like a ledger, and this is fits into security. Never ever buy a ledger off of a friend. Don't buy it from third parties like Best Buy. Definitely don't buy it on Amazon because it comes with these a 24 word security. That's the keys to your house. That's the keys to this bank account. This is the keys to this wallet. You give those keys out, or you go buy a ledger from a friend, and then they have that password. They could repackage it, make it look like it wasn't opened. You put your money on it. And this is a good segue into what we've talked about. When you're transferring money back and forth, now that you've bought Bitcoin on the exchange, even though you're sending it to yourself, always do a bare minimum transaction, whether it's $1 or $10. Some of these cryptocurrencies have different minimums to send, but send the minimum because I do this even in real life. Like if I'm going to send money to any of the posse, whether it's through Cash App, because you're already doing this, whether you're aware of it or not, Venmo, Zelle, you're already transacting electronically and you've been doing it for a long time. So they're already psychologically programming people for what's happening in the background. So if I'm going to send money, I'm going to send that bare minimum. And then once you give me the okay that you got that dollar or $10, then I'll send you the rest. But it's not until I get that confirmation. I'm not sending anything past the minimum.
That's great advice. I mean, I think that's, it's just key advice for startup investors to understand, that's just one of those keys for sure. Awesome stuff.
And I hope it makes sense and that I'm not, jumping around and that I'm trying to just lay it out in a way that's actually user friendly because a lot of these things, Jeff and I have been doing this for a couple years already. When using a hot wallet like MetaMask, it gets so technical. You're talking about when sending money. So if I'm going to send you money, Joseph, and I'm going to send you a stable coin. And a stable coin is the two that I like to use as the example is USDT or USDC. For reasons, if you want to use the comment section below and ask why, or you can tell me what stable coins you're using and the reasons why you're using that coin, and we can bounce ideas back and forth. But the reason why I use those two is I'm going to use USDT. The reason why there's a lot more trading pairs that go into USDT, so it's a more user-friendly stablecoin that a lot of people use around the world. So I'm going to send that to you. I bought that USDT on the Ethereum network. I'm going to send it to you on the Ethereum network. And this is where you really want to pay attention. I'd in fact write this down. If I was hearing this from somebody else and I was tuning in, this would be something that I definitely want to make a note of. When sending that stable coin, you have to make sure that you're sending it on the same network. Because if I send you that stable coin and I bought it on the Ethereum network, but we'll use another network called Solana, it's a different cryptocurrency. You could send that USDT to that Solana network. Well, if the networks aren't in alignment, you're going to send, or I will be sending money thinking it's going to you, but accidentally sending it to the wrong network. And that's why you send the bare minimum, because if you make that mistake, your money is gone.
It's like two freeways and no bridge across. It doesn't know about the other freeway. So if you have the 5 and the 405, and let's say no 55 going across, which is a bridge, the 5 knows nothing about the 405. It just keeps going, stuck on the chain. And another thing, Ethereum is probably the most popular on the blockchain, but it also could say ERC20, which is Ethereum.
That's a beautiful point. And a beautiful analogy on breaking down what I'm saying, and you're 100% spot on. If you don't bridge it properly, then you're gonna end up having that money sit. What's beautiful about where we're at with this technology is because we have this administration that's pro crypto, it's allowing the space to grow, right? And to me, when I'm looking to start a business, I want to start a business that's going to create the solution to a challenge that we're having, right? Because I'm not going to say a problem, it's a challenge. Because when looking at the solution to this challenge, all it is take a step back, make sure that you're keeping your money offline so you're not going to get scammed. You're not going to be affected by anything that could happen to these exchanges. Sending the bare minimum, whether it's crypto, whether it's, paying your for your car to get washed, any transactions you always want to go slow. Make sure because a lot of these addresses, and I'm sure you would agree, Jeff, they're what, like 15 to 20 different characters. And, if you mess up anywhere along that line, again, it just opens up doors that you don't need to be walking through. And that's why you're tuning into an episode like this, where we're specifically talking about what not to do for security reasons. And you're good. Just take it one step at a time because you're right. What's cool about this industry growing is that the solution would be, is there a company out there that once your money is stuck on one of these platforms, I was going to say exchange, but one of these networks, there should be a company, and I think there is. I haven't done my research, so I don't want to speak out of place. But I think there's a company out there that's already doing that, that will go in and help you retrieve what you would call money.
Oh, what's that company called?
There is for sure. I don't know the company, but I know we've had it happen over here,
Wow.
and they do work on it for you.
Well, I'm sure anyone who's in a moment like that would certainly appreciate there being a company that would do that because I've heard a couple horror stories. I think we all have, and people feel so vulnerable. And, so that's why just any sort of specifics we can touch on with security today and any episode, really. But obviously, today we're really focusing on security. Um, just so much value in it. It is, you have to admit, it's a very technical space.
Yeah, I'm currently trading on Coinbase, so it's kind of interesting that Coinbase is the topic. I've got a decent amount of money on it. I don't want to divulge how much, but it's enough money to where I'd be, a little bit nervous if something happens. So my question to you, Will, would be: is there a external hot wallet that you think would be more user friendly than MetaMask that I should get into? Because I've only really been trading. I ended up initially buying in kind of at the height of the market in 2021 and just kind of saw my assets evaporate. I had about $70,000, I'm not afraid to say, in it. And it evaporated out to about $8,000 and I just stayed in the market. So, I've obviously, with the gains we've seen, in the last 6 months or so, I've recovered a lot of my loss. So I want to try to be safe with, the assets that I do have. So with that being said, I was wondering what you thought about, an external wallet that would be, more user friendly than MetaMask. You said it had kind of was a little bit difficult to use.
Right. That's a really, really good question. And I appreciate you asking that question because I can imagine there's a lot of people, in a similar situation. Like, what is some advice, right? Because we live in this world where I feel like too many people are gatekeeping information, right? And for a friend like you to ask that question and to where we can help a bunch of people all at the same time, you're right. So MetaMask can be very complicated. Jeff brought up that, the fees could be higher because now at that point, you're specifically using certain networks or cryptocurrencies or layers is what they're called, like layer one projects like Ethereum to move money back and forth. And there was a time when I was using MetaMask where I had friends that were investing into some of these meme coins, and that's where MetaMask kind of blew up for me was it was a way for me to trade these coins that not a lot of people could get their hands on, and I was able to get my hands on it before the exchange. So there is a lot of risk, but the reward was there for me to do that. But it was so complicated because now I'm having to figure out how to add networks to this wallet. As Jeff mentioned, how do I bridge my stable coin? Because in my head, I'm thinking, what do you mean? Like, how do I bridge? How do I change the same currency, but send it to a different network? Like, it just didn't make sense to me. So, it adds this level of complication to specifically answer your question. I would recommend, or what I use, is Exodus Wallet. It's a similar hot wallet. So I'm still protecting my money offline, but it's a lot easier for me to move money around. And then this is the beautiful part about these types of wallets. Once my money is in this Exodus wallet, hot wallet, on my computer, if my computer ends up taking a shit and I need to get another computer, as long as I have those seed phrases, which I highly recommend, this is why it's such a good question. Keep your seed phrase, keep the keys to your wallet offline, old school, analog, handwrite it. Don't keep it on your phone. Don't keep it digital copies of it because those can get scammed really easily. I
Those
mean,
are considered the recovery phrase.
exactly the recovery phrase.
Yeah. Yeah, you want to have those written down and put in like a, your fireproof safe and one in a book and different locations in case it disappears. You want to make sure you have that for sure. Like Joseph mentioned, we've heard stories of guys that have, bought Bitcoin and for extremely low number and would be killing it right now, but they lost it somewhere and they can't recover it. So it's kind of crazy. You definitely got to be on top of that.
Yeah, and that's kind of why I was hoping we could do a whole episode about security because I feel like those stories, resonate with a lot of people and create fear or uncertainty. A lot of people aren't that tech oriented. Millions more people would be involved in crypto if it was kind of simpler.
Beautiful point. I believe that because banks are already cleared to hold cryptocurrency, that's where they're going to get people. They're going to get it on selling this idea. It's complicated. I get it. But where's the value? Do I want another entity to do it for me, which is the current system and the way it's set up? If that works for you, keep on flowing with that. Me, I want to become my own personal bank. Well, how do you do that? You do it by following the security because everything that we're talking about, you don't think these banks are going to do the same thing? You don't think they're going to use 2FA? They're going to have more protection? Like they're going to have to because it's going to be a lot easier in this digital age where I want to bring this point. Never, ever, ever trade or hold any of these cryptocurrencies, the hot wallets. Never have them on your phone. And if you do, keep very low amounts of money in your phone or on that app that's loaded onto your phone because they have these. I think it happens a lot in other countries. They've got this ability to just wave a wand, this electronic device over your bag. And if you don't have RFID protection, it's one swipe away. They just hacked your whole phone. Just like that. That's why you don't keep it on your phone. Are the banks going to keep all of your money on their phones? No, they're going to have a private, secure, super secure network, which is that's what we're advocating is by being your own bank, You have to educate yourself. You do that by tuning into, we're not the only ones out there, but this is what resonates with me. I get to shoot the shit with my friends, and like we've spoken about previously, I get to educate myself in the process. I get to be vulnerable and share my experience that I've had with my friends in hopes that you don't make that same mistake. That's the whole purpose of this episode. And to really drive in this point of being your own banker, you have to think like a banker. You have to secure your money like a bank would secure their money. You have to, so the bank insures money up to a certain amount. This is the same thing. By keeping your money in a hot wallet, or really, you want to keep it in a cold storage. That's like the ideal place because now you go from like a 12 keyword generation or generating password to a 24. So already my security is upped. I can keep it offline. And this is probably the last point I'd like to make by keeping your money in these wallets. You're now your own banker. Your money is controlled by you. And this is the cool part about how this industry is evolving. Instead of having to send my money back to the exchange to sell it, I can actually do that within the wallet. It's completely safe, completely secure. It's called swapping. And now I can swap by being my own banker in my own wallet that I control. I control, not the banking cartel. That's what they are. And it fits into this big, huge puzzle we've been sharing with you. It's going to continue to develop episode by episode. But really, security to me is like the number one thing because that's what's going to protect any dollar you put into this digital asset class.
If you had your money on a cold storage, how long would it take you to get it onto Coinbase to be able to trade? Is it something that you can do, just plug it into your computer, pop it up, and fire it over to Coinbase, and you're ready to trade pretty quickly? Or is it more
Bluetooth.
through
Yeah,
Bluetooth?
it's Bluetooth.
Oh, okay.
You could actually
Interesting.
you could do both ways. You could do what Jeff is saying, Bluetooth, especially with Ledger. And again, write this down, please. Only buy your Ledger from ledger.com. Make sure you pay attention to that URL. Make sure you're buying it specifically from ledger.com. It removes, again, this fits into security. It removes any type of door that could or may not exist, or completely removes that as ever being a possibility. So, yes, cold storage is the best way to hold your assets, and it's seamless at this point. So, again, to answer your question, it takes seconds to maybe a minute or two to transfer that money back to the exchange to sell it. But you don't have to do that. You could actually just do that point of sale through your wallet. All you do is you swap it. The transaction happens within your wallet. I think, if I'm not mistaken, the fees are a little bit higher, but for somebody like me that's storing a fairly decent sum of money on these cold storages, and I have multiple cold storages. I don't want to just keep all my eggs in one basket. I always want to protect myself. So by doing these steps that we've been laying out for you and for myself, because when I hear myself share, it's like, okay, I want to make sure I'm following my own advice because it sounds like really good advice. Sounds like it's coming from somebody that's been in the space for a little while that knows what they're talking about. And again, I am being vulnerable to share. I've been scammed before, blindly, where unfortunately for this situation, it wasn't somebody hacking into my wallet. And this is do your own research with crypto projects. Again, fitting into the narrative security. Do your research, make sure you're not investing into a scam. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Make sure you ask friends around you. Again, I don't want to be repetitive, but use the comment section below. That's where you can ask your questions to us. I will give you feedback on things that I wouldn't do. I genuinely, and this is that value that we're bringing to the table, I don't want to see people get scammed. We live in a world full of them, and this never made sense to me. For a scammer, if these people put that same energy into doing something positive, they would get that result, but they're over there putting energy into, well, how can I come up on people? Unfortunately, they come up on the people that are uneducated, which is why this specific episode is so crucial and why I keep on asking to like, subscribe, share, and comment below, because we all know that's what's going to help the algorithm get out to more people, which is where the value really lies. Just want to touch as many people as possible because whether people like it or not, this industry is not going anywhere. And yes, you either get with the program or the program, like it is now, will run you.
And who wants that? Who wants that? I mean, that's the whole point is we're trying to take control of our own destiny. Obviously, so much value in discussing security when it comes to that. Anything, any final thoughts from anyone on the posse?
I was just going to say, I think, Mike, for your situation where you're at, I know it's a substantial amount of money, but I think just for starters, if you're not using, you don't want all that on the exchange. If you're trading it every day, then that's different. But if you're just using a portion of it, and a lot of it is just in USD because of Coinbase or USDC, then I would transfer that to a Coinbase wallet because of the security. And then there's no fees back and forth. So I think there's levels. So I think if things start going good and you're doubling, tripling your money, then you start thinking about, well, I'm going to go to a hot or cold storage wallet. But I think where you're at and the ease of it, that's what I think would be the best for you.
Okay, great. Yeah, I'm familiar with the Coinbase wallet. I have
Yeah,
one of those, and I've kind of, you know, switched,
right.
flip
Back and
flopped
forth.
money back and forth, swapped money, bought a few coins off there, but it is definitely interesting. It's not very user friendly, like you said. You have to buy in it.
Yeah.
Like, if a coin's $24 and trading at $24.32, all you see is $24. There's no real charts to look at, so it's kind of interesting.
It
Um,
better be a really good choice. And
yeah,
it
for
better go
sure.
up because I've noticed that too. And I think that was when the excitement of the meme coins and the AI coins is why I kind of gravitated to that because they did offer them. You just also have to make sure just because it's on their wallet, it doesn't mean it's the same coin. Like Cookie DAO was on there and theirs showed 1,000,000% profit, or excuse me, 1,000,000%
Million
that it went
percent,
up. And there's no way. So there was a handful of Cookie DAOs that were available. So I would always go back to Coin Market Cap, copy the contract, import it into your wallet, and then you're knowing you're getting the correct coin because there's copycats. And then also you could look at the price and the number that the coin is at to know that it's the right one you're copying. But
Yeah, that can get really confusing. I've saw some of those scenarios, and it'd be easy to make a mistake, and buy the wrong coin. Just if you're a novice guy like myself or a beginner,
you
you
just
know,
have to research it when you look up the coin. Look at everything about it. There's a number associated with it, the price of it, the information, and then the contract. There's a few things you can do. I think Coinbase, I've noticed they just keep offering more coins. They're definitely stepping it up, so there's more to offer. Um, so I think, unless we get back into like a meme coin or AI, super cycle, they call it, I think Coinbase is pretty good for most coins. And another thing is there's no bridging. If you see it, you can buy it.
Yeah, and some of those new coins that have been coming onto Coinbase have actually done fairly well if you kind of
Yeah, I've been watching.
keep an eye on those, you know.
Oh yeah.
Well, I mean, that's some pretty good stuff right there, right? I mean, do you feel like getting some value out of this topic, guys?
Tremendously. I have a question for you guys. Have you heard of dusting attacks before?
I have not.
No.
It actually goes hand in hand with these wallets. So if you do choose a hot wallet like MetaMask or Exodus, be very cautious about scams because what ends up happening on these wallets is these dusting attack happens. So you go to your wallet, you log in, and there's some random coin in there, and it's showing some random meme coin. This happened a lot during that stage of the cycle, meme coin stage. And my friend was telling me this. I told him, I said, dude, I got this coin in my wallet and it's worth like a couple $1,000s, but I don't know where it came from. Do not touch those. Those are dusting attacks. Those coins were sent to your wallet somehow with this expectation that you're going to see it in your wallet. You're going to see that it's got a couple $1,000s of value. You're going to hit that link, and guess what's going to happen to your money? Deuces.
Wow. That's that's
Interesting.
interesting stuff, I got to say, I think we should dive into that at a future date even deeper. That sounds like a really, that dusting issue. I'm glad you to bring that up, Will. I think that'll be something, we're going to talk about security ongoing. It's not like, even though this is a whole security episode, we're definitely going to, it's a never ending topic. So I just want to say, I think that today's been really good for us in that way. I hope all you guys with the, comment. Let us know, where have you been scammed? What have you been through? We'd love to hear about it. Talk back and forth. Like, subscribe. Just really important to do all that. And just want to say thanks again for tuning into Crypto Posse and the All Security episode. And have a nice day. Peace out.